My name is Judge Wanda Keys Hurd. I am a retired circuit court judge, actually the chief judge of the 8th Judicial Circuit of Maryland. I graduated from UMBC in 1979, and I retired from the bench after 21 years of service, and that was January, I guess that was, of 2020. I was a political science major, and I had the honor of being the president of the class in 1979 and had the opportunity of speaking at graduation, so I was thrilled about that. I believe that the involvement of our citizens at all levels will and does continue to make a strong democracy. It's when there's apathy, when there isn't involvement, that we start getting into trouble and we drift away from the basic principles of democracy that separate us from other countries where voting rights, civil rights are not guarded and protected. I came to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, because I knew I wanted to be a lawyer from when I was 9 or 10 years old. And traveling from New York to visit schools, I loved this campus, not only its physical presence, but the academic program that it offered. And I believed at that time that the law, our Constitution, democracy, were those areas that I wished to practice. And I say practice because practice of law is the use of the law in affecting your community. And you can affect it in positive ways. You can secure democracy for residents. You can secure democracy and rights for citizens. And you can even write laws and change anything that you believe is unfair in our democratic system. So I believe that we all should be involved, from voting, and if you can't vote, to campaigning for those that you think should be in positions, to running for office yourself. I have a first memory. I was a Perry Mason baby. Black and white television. He was an actor. He, lawyer, always got the bad guy to say that he did it from the witness stand. He carried around a thick book called the Corpus Juris Secundum, and it was supposedly all of the law and what was truth, justice, and the American way. But my father engaged us in helping him run for office in the 60s. He ran to be a member of the school board in Long Island, New York, where I was growing up. And we had to stuff envelopes and stuff mailboxes and knock on doors. And that was my first community engagement on a civic level where I actually participated. But I observed my parents being involved with the Urban League, with the NAACP, and our family was represented by the NAACP in a civil action to integrate schools. So on Long Island, I was going to a predominantly Black school, and there were other schools in our area that had better books and a higher quality of education. The programs were not equal. And my parents sued the school system. And so although I personally wasn't active in that progress, I was the plaintiff. I was the child that would benefit from the integrated schools. And I observed my parents be actively involved in that. By the way, I didn't like that very much. I didn't understand why they would put me through a traumatic experience like that, to force busing across town many, many years later. I thank them. But for their civic involvement, but for their push to demand equality in education for me, I was able to obtain my dreams of becoming a lawyer. That's where UMBC comes in, because apart from my father, I was in the political science department, and there is an internship program that the political science department At the time, Professor Philip Brenner led that particular program. But they sent us out to find our placements. We were not given a placement for an internship. We had to locate one on our own. My placement, Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm in Washington. It was phenomenal to have the opportunity to shadow her and to work in her office in the 70s. If you can imagine, she ran for president of the United States in the early 70s. And I got the opportunity to work for her soon after that. And that's where my internship placement was. I learned a lot about the movement of bills and co-sponsoring bills and the progress of writing laws, passing laws. Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm was the chairperson of the Powerful Rules Committee. And if you know anything about the law and how bills are made, you can't get a bill passed or numbered until it goes through the Rules Committee. And so I had an opportunity to watch her in action and formulated very much her theme to be unbought and unbossed. She was a phenomenal Black woman and didn't take any nonsense. And that was truly a person that I thought very highly of, and I would say is a significant role model in my life. I would say the primary concern I have is the education of disadvantaged youth in our city. Without an education, I would never have been able to attend college or to pursue my dreams. Without the support of my family to help integrate the schools that I attended to ensure that I got a quality education, I would not have been able to obtain my dreams. We have a school system in Baltimore that's failing. It's failing our youth, and it's destroying their dreams. As a result, there's a lot of crime. There are a lot of disadvantaged students that go out to criminal enterprises because they don't see a means to obtain good jobs. Quality education is lacking. So that's been one of my big pushes. And I've been actively involved in going into the schools and participating in programs that support young people. Most recently, there's a program called Stop the Mothers from Crying. We go into schools where children are faced with parents or siblings that have been killed in violence, and they are traumatized. It's affecting their ability to participate openly in school. Some of them don't even come to school. There's a lot of truancy. So we go into the schools and try to revive their dreams and to show them that education, coming to school, staying in school, pursuing that education is a means to help them deal with the difficulties they're having in their lives. While I was at UMBC, I also participated in a sorority. There are a lot of them, and a lot of people get confused. They think the sorority and fraternities are just for parties. But there are some fraternities and sororities that focus on community service. And one of the things that Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated did, it took students from our campus into Baltimore City. We actually went to schools, went to churches, we went to programs, and as students got involved with youth in the community rather than just sitting over here at UMBC and not being involved. Those programs still exist. And there are many, many, many others. And it's not difficult for UMBC students to either participate in a fraternity or sorority or other club or volunteer their time. You all still have the transit buses and the shuttle buses that come into Baltimore City and come into the campus and go into the Baltimore City. So there is an opportunity, and there are many, many organizations that are out there that they could participate in. There's scouting programs, there are musical programs, we have several museums, rec centers. There are a lot of different places that students could use. Enoch Pratt Library has a tutoring program, and there are several branches of Enoch Pratt that are near this campus. Catonsville, Baltimore County has also several libraries that are very close. You can go and participate in a literacy program and help teach older people. Some older folks need the literacy program, or tutor younger people that are having difficulty in subject matter like history or math. So their opportunities are present and available. And oh, by the way, there's always an election. There's always someone running for judge or for congressperson or legislator. Be involved. Volunteer your time. So the opportunities are present. I think it's important to remember that your integrity, your honesty, your drive should be the primary focus of whatever you do, and in particular, when you're involved in the law. I like to think that only you can sell your integrity. And for me, my integrity was never for sale. And if you think of it that way as a priority, then you never have to worry about getting yourself in any trouble. If you know that what you do and what you say and how you carry yourself will be the determining factor sometimes before you ever walk in a door or sit down for an interview. If you think about how do I want to be perceived by the public, by my family, by my children, by my colleagues, if you think about that first, then you will stay on the right track. It's when money and greed and other things get involved and become your priority, then you run into a lot of trouble. And I must say that you don't have to wait till you start your job. I don't know if the program still exists, but there used to be a legal research bureau here on campus. I know because I was the director of the Legal Research Bureau. And what we did was we helped students with their legal problems. We had 2 lawyers on staff. They volunteered their time, and they assisted students when they had minor legal problems. We also had the court system. This was the student court. And if you were accused of having violated some campus rule, you might have to show up in the student court, and that Legal Research Bureau would help you and assist you with that. But again, I don't know if it still exists, but if it doesn't still exist, that might be a way to revive the interests of the law and what it takes to have integrity and honesty and commitment in representing people. That would be a good way to start right here on campus. My hope is that they would take their degree in political science and either go to law school upon graduating, or go work in a law firm or an entity that has the need of legal research. I know that UMBC students, particularly who've graduated with English or political science, excel in their ability to write. They are extremely good in researching, and they are very well respected in the community. During the time that I was on the bench for 21 years, every semester I had a UMBC undergraduate student. They weren't law students. They were political science majors, and they came to the courthouse and they saw where careers could impact them short of going to law school. They could do things like work in the clerk's office. They could work in law enforcement. There were other areas that they could be involved in. Several of them actually got involved in teaching. They saw what I was talking about, the failure of the school systems. And some of them actually graduated with a political science degree, but went on to become teachers. Other interns that I had got involved in social justice and went and obtained their master's degree in social work as opposed to going to law school. So there are other fields that are connected to political science that don't necessarily require that you go to law school. One of my UMBC interns actually went to the University of Maryland School of Law to get a master in law. It's not a Juris Doctor degree, but a Master of Laws. And he assisted in some of the cannabis industry because there are so many regulations associated with opening a cannabis facility or dispensary that you need to make sure that your facility abides by state and federal regulations. And that's where he decided to use his expertise in writing and researching. And then, of course, I already mentioned that part of my experience was on Capitol Hill. Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm wanted me not to go to law school, but to continue to work for her, writing laws and bills. And certainly there are a number of legislators, Kevin Kamenetz, who is now deceased, but he was very much a political science major at UMBC, but he was a county exec for Baltimore County. And so again, he had experience that he utilized, that he garnered from the political science experience and degree he received here to go on to run a county. So there are other areas that you can utilize your political science degree for, other than going to law school. I want you to remember to always go after your dreams. It requires you to work hard. Don't let anyone say no. If it is your dream to achieve a particular career goal or event, go after it and work hard. There are a disproportionate number of judges in Maryland who have an undergraduate degree from UMBC. They dream to be a judge. I actually wanted to be a lawyer, not necessarily a judge. And it was the dream and my hard work that made me see that I could go further. And I would say that that would be the main thing. Go after your dreams. They're there, just reach for them.